It's good to be back. I'm sorry that it's been such a long time for the lack of live streams, but we did a family vacation around a family event, and so that's why I went on vacation in the middle of July. But I had an absolutely wonderful time. I'm glad I was able to still offer you full Superman coverage, and now we can get back to business. Thank you, Danny. That's right. It's the beginning of the week. Where I like to gift memberships to try and match your generosity. And since I've been away for so long, we haven't had a live stream in 2 weeks. That's too long. I'm going to gift 20 memberships. Hold on, here it comes. There we go. Thank you so much for all of you and your patience, and I really appreciate that. So I just want to thank you. And show that. I'm looking to do 3 live streams this week. There'll be a Mortal Kombat trailer tomorrow, reaction, potentially breakdown. I'm planning to do something about all the continued trickle of DC news. It'll take me a couple of days to get back on my feet, but I should be all ready to go for Comic-Con next week. So today we're talking Emmy nominations. Thank you, Bubbles. Today we're talking Emmy nominations. They came out yesterday, but I was traveling yesterday. So I'm going to do them now. I'm not going to be reviewing any of the movies that come out this week. I missed the screenings because they were all yesterday. And I was traveling. So I did not see Smurfs. I didn't see I Know What You Did Last Summer. But I'll be back on schedule next week. All right. So we're going to go through the Emmys. We're going to play everyone's favorite game, Who Should Win, Who Will Win, Emmys 2025 edition. So I wanted to start out by saying, when I saw the Emmy nominations come out yesterday morning, here we go, the Emmys live September 14th, not only in CBS, but also on Paramount Plus. We're going to talk about Snubs in just a moment. We're going to do Snubs first, and then we'll go to the nominations themselves. But I thought to myself when this came out, I thought, wow, I like how everybody got nominated for an Emmy, except for Patrick Schwarzenegger. Oh, poor Patrick. Where is it? That poor Patrick Schwarzenegger. Oh, I don't think he's going to work out. Unless Marvel comes in there because he's cheap because he can't get nominated. They'll be like, wow, he must be very affordable at this point. And maybe he could potentially be Cyclops. I think that's the only thing that's going to save this guy. I think that the general public and even Hollywood have said, no, thank you. So, maybe, I don't know if it's him, if it's the Schwarzenegger name, but, it was very competitive. And, he has a lot of co-stars who took up all the spots, but, it's just another thing that didn't work out for this dude. So we're on that note, let's go through Snubs. All right, so here is the Snubs list. Let's go through. There's my little arrow so you know what I'm talking about. So the snub that everybody was talking about yesterday was that Andor might have gotten a number of nominations, but it was not for any of the actors. Andor was nominated for series and for writing and directing. But I got to tell you, that is kind of par for the course with that kind of content. As you might recall, when Titanic and Avatar got a lot of attention and nominations back in the day, their casts were also ignored. So I think, Hollywood sometimes feels like with sci-fi and things like that, the acting is secondary, which is unfortunate because I don't believe that to be true. Although there's just too much good TV. There's too much good television, which is why they have so many nominations. I think there's too many nominations. Some shows and some people are still getting left out, as you can see. But I think it's a little bit insane that pretty much everybody got nominated, and I think that takes a little bit of the honor out of it. I think that it's a mistake to go so high. I know the movies do it, but there's usually a lot more movies. Although even some years they have trouble filling the 10, and sometimes it goes down to 8 or 9. But I think they should stick to 5 or 6 shows only. I think it would make it a little bit more interesting because I think this is just nuts. But I don't really think it's that big a deal that the Andor actors got snubbed. I think maybe outside of Stellan Skarsgård and the actress who played his assistant, she was incredible. You know, the one that went to get him in the hospital. They probably did the best job, but I don't think it's a big loss. I'm sorry to say. I think Andor got the representation that it should. Squid Game Season 2. This is surprising to me, particularly because the first season did win Emmys and got a lot of nominations. I think that Netflix has to realize that they prioritize their viewers and the viewing experience over everyone else, and that includes the industry and the press. And that's a dangerous game to play. And if they're going to play that game, you know, I couldn't cover Squid Game Season 3 because they didn't send screeners out as widely as they did for Season 2. So I didn't have the space by the time the show dropped to be able to cover it in my schedule. And I think that, you know, tactics like that really kind of leave a bad taste in the mouth of the industry. So I think that, you know, but Netflix, you can't deny the results they have in terms of viewership. So, you know, I think with their awards shows, they should be a little bit more friendly than they are. Although I have to say, in their defense, they did give out the screeners for Season 2 for Critics' Choice. We got them when most people didn't because they wanted nominations, and I did nominate the show because I liked it so much, but it didn't get a lot of nominations, so they might feel it's not worth the potential leaks to the story when they're not getting nominations anyway. Then, as for Agatha All Along, I have to say I do feel bad. I feel worse about this than Andor because I think that Agatha All Along was a really I think Andor got nominated for Best Series, and it got some other nominations. I feel that Agatha All Along deserved certainly as much attention as Andor got. I think it was a really incredible show. I mean, Jack Schaefer, in my opinion, did just as good a job as Tony Gilroy when it comes to crafting something that was really memorable and made an impression. I think the problem here is Disney Plus. Disney Plus just doesn't have the campaign, experience and relationships to get these nominations. There's a reason that HBO, Netflix, and Apple TV always get the most nominations. And it's not just because of the quality of their content. It's because they have a reputation. You know, I think a lot of times people don't watch everything. You know, that the Academy is trying to fix that, but that's very hard to police. And so a lot of times people have their favorite shows or they have the most prestige and get the most attention. And also, this is Star Wars and Marvel. I mean, I think that the industry is always going to penalize them a little bit because they feel they take eyeballs away from the quote-unquote real content, real shows. I think, you know, a lot of people in the industry feel that, you know, that IP is hurting Hollywood. So you're always going to see them favoring, especially in the awards space, content that feels fresher and more original. But it's a shame because Agatha, just like Andor, is very original and has the quality that you would want, that you would hope that you would see in these IPs. So it's really, I feel that's really bad. But I also feel Disney Plus just could only get one show across the finish line, and they went with Andor. I mean, we are seeing a lot of Andor like awards events, and we didn't see hardly any for Agatha. You know, we didn't see a lot of screenings and discussions, which is how you get a nomination. So yes, Patrick Schwarzenegger. I don't think things are going to work out for Schwarzenegger Jr. I just don't see it working out. The Handmaid's Tale, ignored for both actress and show. So I think that, you know, that show's on its way out. It's, you know, I think it hasn't been relevant for a very long time. Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. You know, I feel like the attitude towards John Mulaney, he was like, he couldn't have been in a better space than he was when he hosted the Governor's Awards for the Oscars last year. I think it was last year. Yes, it was last year. Or maybe the year before. Yes, the year before. Because everybody felt he should have hosted the Oscars instead of Conan O'Brien, but he said no. And I think that was a mistake. You know, he really threw a lot behind this show for Netflix. I really like John Mulaney's comedy. I think he's very funny. I always enjoy when he hosts Saturday Night Live. And I do enjoy his stand-up specials as well. But I gotta tell you, I watched the first episode of Everybody's Live with John Mulaney, and I thought it was awful. And I never went back, and I think a lot of people had the same experience. Some of my friends continued to watch it, and I heard that he was sort of mean to some guest stars and audience people who called in. And I thought that was just really unfortunate. And so I bet you that this show did a lot of damage to him. Also, it's tough to be a celebrity couple. I mean, we've seen a lot of celebrity couples run into trouble. We'll see what happens here as well. All right, then Steve Martin and Selena Gomez. They both got snubbed this year. Usually it's only poor Selena, but now Steve Martin as well. I gotta tell you, I thought the last season of Only Murders in the Building was a little bit lazy. That's right, J-Lo and Ben Affleck are another great example, Chico. But yes, I thought that, Martin Short was doing the heavy lifting. He's been doing the heavy lifting on that show for 2 seasons now. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine. And then also, as for Interview with the I think the Selena Gomez thing doesn't hurt as much because she wasn't the only one left out. If you're going to nominate 2 of the 3, you got to do all of them. But I'm fine with just Martin Short, to be honest with you. And then, Interview with the Vampire. Mika, you think him dating Meryl Streep helped? I don't know about that, but that's pretty funny. Interview with the Vampire, I just don't think that AMC has any juice when it comes to getting awards nominations right now. I just think that, as good as this show is, I think, Critics' Choice recognized it, and I think it's getting there, but I don't know how long the show is going to last. I don't know if it has the time to get there. But it's an incredible show. I have marked its panel for Comic-Con this year. I'm hoping they're going to release some kind of trailer for the 3rd season based on Lestat. So I'm very excited for this quite a bit, actually. But I think it's too early for this show. I would say Interview with the Vampire is the Goth The Boys. I think they're equal in quality. I think they both have superstars in Anthony Starr and Sam Reed. And then I also think that they have really great casts across the board, just really, really strong. But yeah, I don't think this is horrible. All right, so let's take a look now. Let's see here, Rashad. I'm glad you were watching the new Interview with the Vampire. It's so good, I know, right? And thank you to everybody who got me onto that show. All right, so also I wanted, Danny's wanting to know about Landman. Taylor Sheridan is not the kind of guy who's going to get nominations. I don't think it's going to work. He's just not in that space. He doesn't want to be in that space, and that's fine. All right, so nominations by show. Severance just managed to edge out for the win with 27 nominations. I mean, it's an incredible season. But I have to say, this for DC, Matt Reeves. He's going real slow. And, as I said before, there are personal reasons at play. But let the man cook. And he's just getting tremendous results. He might be getting better results at the end of the day than James Gunn is getting. So I'm very, it's a little too early. I'm holding off a little bit. I'm going to make a DC video this week. But I feel like I really can't get a clear picture of what's happening with Superman until we see the second weekend. But Matt Reeves is doing extremely well. I mean, this is incredible. 24 nominations for a comic book show? I mean, they were right to have Batman never show up, even though it was hilarious that he never did. We were just talking about people having a problem with IP content, and the Penguin managed to do really well. That's just incredible. I really feel that they should be doing a season for each villain, just like they do in the comics, and I don't understand why they're not. Clayface should be a show, not a movie, but let's see. Aloe, and I saw that headline about Gunn's salary. I'm going to talk about it in a big DC video this week, just like a catch-all. It might go up on Friday, to be honest with you. I was going to do it tomorrow, but the Mortal Kombat trailer dropping messed me up a little bit. So I'm trying to just get it all in order. Okay. The Stranger Things trailer reaction this morning was a waste of my time because, I loved discussing it with you, but there's just no interest. And it got claimed for a song. So I did it for free. I could have been covering that Supergirl poster. It's very frustrating. That's why I don't do as many trailer reactions anymore. Because I think there's better, more constructive uses of both of our times. But I know that for the big trailers, how do you not do it? Okay. The studio broke Ted Lasso's record for the most nominations for a freshman show ever. That's incredible. Both from Apple TV, by the way. Let me just tell you that the studio is going to win every category that it's in, basically. There is nothing that Hollywood loves more than talking about itself and celebrating itself, being like, oh, we did so well, we're so great. You know, Hollywood loves that. They love it so much. I mean, it's the new Hacks, which is also basically that. So and I love the studio. I think the studio deserves every single Emmy that it's going to get. But I think you've seen, like, just like you saw Hacks and The Bear sweep the studio and Ted Lasso back in the day, you're going to see that kind of sweep for the studio. And if you haven't watched the studio, I cannot recommend it more highly enough, as many of you are saying. It's an incredible show. You think the cameos were amazing in season 1. Now that it's a hit, Seth Rogen will be able to probably call up anyone he wants and get a cameo for season 2. He wants Vin Diesel, which I think is hilarious. Okay, then The White Lotus, still an incredibly popular show. What's interesting to me, though, is that The Last of Us fell significantly. Season 2 only has 16 nominations, whereas Tom Cruise, Sophia, that's a great get for the studio. But how could they not make a joke about him being a Scientologist, though? But anyway, The Last of Us Season 1, I looked it up. Season 1 had 24 nominations. 24 nominations. And they dropped to almost 10 less. That's really bad. And then Andor, still at 14 because of other categories. Andor got nominated in some craft categories and things like that. It got a lot of nominations, but not for acting. There's Hacks. Adolescence is pretty far down, but it's an anthology series. Don't underestimate Adolescence. I'm very curious to see Adolescence and The Penguin go head to head. Who shall win? You would think Adolescence would win because it's like the hot streaming show, and you would think that it was going to be the new Baby Reindeer, but 24 nominations for The Penguin. The Academy loves that show. So I think that's a very, very good, it'll be very interesting to see how that breaks down. The Bear is still in there for some reason, even though it's an awful show. That's even for season 3, no less. I forgot to write season 3. I think The Pitt is in here because people are just so happy to have original content that's not based on a franchise. Although, tell that to Michael Crichton's widow, who feels this is a knockoff of ER, and she actually sued Warner Brothers. I never watched ER, but I don't see how she can claim that. It's a show about an emergency room, and I don't think you can copyright that. I'm sorry to say. I love The Pitt. I love The Pitt. I can't recommend this. I would say you can't go wrong, except for The Bear, which I really have not liked. The season 3 I thought was awful. But I feel you can't go wrong with any. And The Last of Us. Oh yeah, I hated The Last of Us season 2. I stopped watching. So besides those two, you can watch any show on this list and you would have a great time, in my opinion. The SNL 50th anniversary special was very nice. It was special, so I'm happy to see that getting so many nominations. And then I had to go down. There are more shows, but I stopped here randomly. Not randomly, because I'm so happy for this Eric and Lyle Menendez show. I'm such a big fan of this show. I'm so happy that Cooper Koch got nominated. We're going to talk about that. I just could not be happier about that. So, Just Blaze Dissy says Ariana Grande was snubbed for SNL. Ariana Grande could not be doing better. We'll probably talk about her tomorrow on the live. Tomorrow's regular live stream. Ariana Grande is living her best life. She's a huge star. The Boys didn't get any nominations, I believe. And again, it's just not that kind of show. And Prime Video, you can see if you do by network, Prime Video only has 12 noms. You know, and then HBO Max is the most nominations, in fact, it's ever had. Netflix right behind it, and then Apple. And then I'm impressed that the networks have a lot of nominations, but I think that's because of their late night shows and their reality shows and stuff like that. I think that's one of the reasons that, you're still seeing ABC and NBC and CBS in there. All right, let's do it. Let's go to the nominations. And we're going to play, of course, everybody's favorite game, who should win and who will win. And of course, as always, I invite you to play along as we go through this because that's one of the benefits of the live. And I will answer any of your questions briefly at the very end of the live stream. Okay, thank you for joining me. It is good to be back. I love you guys. I missed you. Okay, so we're going to start out with drama. Ooh. Okay, here we go. I guess I'll go through them because, part of me is like, you can just read them. They're right there, but that's not fun. All right, so Andor. Andor and the Diplomat, it's just nice to be there, in my opinion. It's like, oh, yay, we're being taken seriously. The Last of Us, I think, is just there out of respect. Oh, Paradise, too. Paradise is a great show. I love Paradise. I'm very excited to see where they go with the next season. The Paradise is in there is also very interesting. Slow Horses, people like that show. I tried to get into it. I couldn't. I haven't actually. Someone else I know started to watch it and was like, eh. All right, so anyway, it's pretty competitive. As for who I think should win, okay. Should win, to me, it's Severance or the Pitt. I'll put them right there between them. I would be happy with either one, to be honest with you. I think Severance is incredible, and it's such a high-concept show, and it's so artistic. However, the Pitt is just like, you're just like, injected into my veins. It was so massively addictive. I really was impressed with what they did there. And I felt I learned a lot about being a doctor and an emergency room doctor specifically, how emergency rooms operate. I think there's a lot there. I think it's deceptively sophisticated. As for who will win, I feel it will be one of those two shows or White Lotus. Don't underestimate White Lotus's ability to swoop in here. And some of you already said you think it'll be White Lotus, to swoop in here and win. It really dominated social media, like in a way no other show here has. And it has a ton of acting nominations. It's an actors show, and actors are a big part of the industry. It's got everything: acting, writing, directing. It's a phoenix rising from the ashes with Mike White, who was like, people were writing him off. He was on Survivor, and he came back as this huge creative. It's like a Cinderella story that everyone hopes will happen to them in Hollywood. You go from your career being just totally dead to becoming as Jacob just said, the industry darling. And I really think that there's a very good chance White Lotus will win. I think it'll be, so one of these, for who will win, the Pitt, Severance, or White Lotus. So we'll see. Severance does have the most nominations. That's not an accident. All right, then we've got lead actor, okay? I don't know why they stopped putting pictures in these. It's so much better with pictures. Some other people put pictures together, but I am a person of one who was on vacation, so I'm using the Emmy screenshots. Okay, so lead actor, who should win? You guys can see it. I think it takes up too much time for me to read it. Who should win? To me, it's no question but Adam Scott for Severance. Oh, look, some of you are, boy, we do have a lot of Pitt fans in the house. I think it's got to be Adam Scott, because the conversation that he has with himself when his innie and his outie finally talk was incredible. And they really did feel like two different people. So I really feel that Adam Scott should win. I can't do a poll, Nacho, because I'll do some polls at the end, but I can't do a poll because I only have 4 spots. As for who will win, I think Pedro Pascal has a real shot at winning because he's done with the role. And you really could see a huge change in the show with his loss. And that just goes to show how important he was to the show. So I feel there's a chance that Pedro Pascal could win it. I think they wanted to give it to him last season, but they couldn't because they had to give it to some other, like Succession, I think, or something won. But he could potentially win. And then I also see Noah Wyle. I agree with many of you. I don't think Gary Oldman's going to win. I got to be honest with you. Maybe, but Gary Oldman says some weird stuff. I don't know if I could vote for him for a win. But I think Noah Wyle really holds the Pitt together in an impressive way. And so he is a very strong contender. Again, it's going to be like a photo finish for Severance and the Pitt in the drama categories. Okay. Next up. All right, actress, lead actress. Now, I think without a doubt, it should be Britt Lauer for Severance. The subtlety of the reveal as to who she really was. Come on, are you not watching Severance? But was so impressive and so subtle. I didn't get it. I didn't catch it. And I was surprised because I got screeners. When that reveal was, I was like, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. However, I was surprised when the show dropped that people caught it immediately, which just goes to show how good her acting is. That it was there, that people saw it. And that's just a real amazing feat when it comes to acting. Now, as for who will win, I gotta tell you, I'm glad some of you are supporting Bella Ramsey. She's getting a lot of heat on the internet. She could certainly use it. I don't see a win for her here. I don't think she's very good. I mean, I didn't like The Last of Us season 2, and I didn't watch most of it. The stuff that I saw with her, I felt she did not do a great job. I did not particularly care for her performance. I thought it lacked the seriousness, that it was just too light, for what she was supposed to be conveying. Particularly, thank you, they, them. Was particularly when you compare it to the video game. I think that Bella Ramsey's performance is very lacking when you see what was done on the game. So as for who will win, I think it's going to either be Britt Lauer or Kathy Bates from Matlock. Kathy Bates won a bunch of, a Golden Globe, I believe. Kathy Bates has a track record of winning in this category. And again, I think that, Hollywood loves to still show that actors can still get it even when they're older. And so I think Kathy Bates is a competitor here. But I really do believe it's between these two. I'd love to see Britt Lauer get it, to be honest with you. That would be really wonderful. But don't underestimate Matlock. All right. Next category. All right, Best Supporting. Everybody from the White Lotus is in this. And Severance. Oh, here we have a Severance versus James Marsden. Yay, I love James Marsden. He's done some not so great things. I wish he hadn't spoken out for that actor. But I think he's a very good performer. I really like his work, and I don't think he gets enough credit. A lot of pretty boy actors, as they get older, they try and diversify their abilities of what they can do. And I think that James Marsden is actually, Jude Law, Johnny Depp. I think James Marsden is one of those actors. I really think that he's very, very good on Paradise. But who should win and who? I can see you guys already voting here. All right, so the reason that Sam Rockwell is in this category is that he's in too many episodes to qualify as a guest. So that's why he got nominated. And Sam Rockwell definitely got nominated over Patrick Schwarzenegger for that monologue alone. So as for who I think should win, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it should go to Tremel Tillman. I think that what he created with Mr. Milkcheck is just absolutely amazing. And it involves so many of his own choices, like devour feculence. That's an instantly iconic line. And I think he just did such a wonderful job. And I think he has to do all this physical stuff. And he has so much flair. I mean, a lot of actors could wear that all white fur outfit that he had on the field trip, and they would just be wearing it. But that's not, the outfit would be wearing them. But Tremel Tillman is wearing that outfit. So I think I would give it to him, to be honest with you. As for who will win, well, I got to tell you, I think it's going to be Sam Rockwell or Walton Goggins. I think it might be Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins has been working in the TV space for a very long time. Very long. Back to, what was he on The Wire, and then he was on The Shield, and then he was on Justified, and then he was on Fallout, and he does all kinds of smaller shows. Vice Principals, he's on that show, The Righteous Gemstones. I mean, Walton Goggins, is television in some ways at this point. And I think, he's never won an Emmy. And so I think that, there's a very good chance. Sons of Anarchy, thank you. You're right, Sons of Anarchy. I think so I really feel I think people are going to feel it's time for Walton Goggins to win. So yeah, I think Walton Goggins is going to win. But Sam Rockwell's monologue is so incredible. And that he's able to take this really out there story that I think very few people can relate to, and then make you relate to it and to understand where this person is coming from. and to take them seriously and to have it played not for laughs is just really an incredible monologue. So there is a chance Sam Rockwell could win because that monologue is just, it's just amazing what he made. It's a double thing here. It's the writing and the acting. But you know, Sam Rockwell, like very few cuts, he just delivered that. And so I think as much as I'd like to see Tremel Tillman win, there will be more Severance. I'm sure he'll get nominated in the future, and I think that it's going to be Sam Rockwell or Walton Goggins. All right. Then for Best Supporting Actress, you got a lot of White Lotus here. A lot of White Lotus. And I think it will be someone from the White Lotus. But the question is, who will it be? As for who I think it should be, I think it should be Parker Posey. I agree with all of you. Parker Posey has also never won an Emmy. Parker Posey is so good on this show. Everybody was going nuts about her. She did such a good job. But I have to tell you, I think this is another Walton Goggins, Sam Rockwell situation. Whereas while I think that Walton Goggins and Parker Posey did the better job overall and were consistently good through numerous episodes, you can't underestimate the strength of the monologue. And just like Sam Rockwell had an incredible monologue, Carrie Coon had an incredible monologue in the finale about how, you know, how she felt about life and the mistakes she was making, and that incredible line about how she was just so grateful to be a part of it. I do think Parker Posey could still win, but I think it's between these two. You know, Parker Posey and Carrie Coon. Either one. It will be someone from the White Lotus for sure. But yeah, one of those two. Then next up, we have Guest Actor. This is like you're just apparently in one episode, or I think maybe 2 is the max. Sam Rockwell ran through the background of a 3rd episode and couldn't compete in this category. All right, so this is a tough category, not only because there's a lot of good actors here, but I don't think any of them particularly stand out, to be honest with you, in their respective seasons. Here's Andor's one acting nomination for Forrest Whitaker. I gotta tell you, honestly, who I would give it to is Sean Hattasy in The Pitt. It's so weird. The Pitt, you know, like, if you're like, well, what amazing things do they do there? You're like, well, they just make people get better because they're in the emergency room. But I gotta tell you, Sean Hattasy just leapt off the screen to me. He has this one thing where he's like he's a former military person, and so he knows how to draw blood or to give blood on the go, where he puts a needle into his leg and tapes the blood bag to his leg so he can do it while he's walking around and donate blood while he's walking around. That was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. I mean, he just did an incredible job here. And I'm seeing whoever his publicist is doing a great job, because I'm seeing a lot of articles about Sean Hattasy. They're like, oh, he got nominated. How does Sean Hattasy feel about being nominated? And I'm like, well. All right, then, who will win? Why do you guys keep saying Anthony Starr? For what? This is guest actor. You mean in the studio? I don't even see Anthony Starr's name here. So I don't know why you guys keep bringing him up. I'm like, what? Did I miss him? Because, you know, I always want to support Anthony Starr when I can. As for who will win, I'm pretty sure it's going to be somebody from The Last of Us, to be honest with you. He can't be nominated for Homelander and guest actor. Okay. He's a lead. All right, so anyway, I think it's going to either be Jeffrey Wright or Joe Pantoliano for The Last of Us. Maybe Scott Glenn for The White Lotus, because he was pretty crucial and pivotal at the end. But to me, Scott Glenn was just being Scott Glenn. And I agree with you. I mean, I thought Joe Pantoliano did a nice job. I did see his scenes. But I thought that Jeffrey Wright, one of the nice things is that he's playing the character that he played in the games. And so I think Hollywood will like awarding that, being like, yeah, if you're going to use this in video games, when you eventually bring them over to live action, why not use this there as well? Thank you. We would appreciate that. Okay, and then one last drama category. And that is guest actress. All right, so I got to tell you, I think who should win, hands down, even though, again, I didn't like the show, Catherine O'Hara for The Last of Us. I've never seen Catherine O'Hara be so mean. And I loved it. I've never seen that side of Catherine O'Hara before. I thought she did a really wonderful job. I think she might be a double winner at this year's Emmys because she's also nominated for the studio. And I think there's a very strong chance she'll win there. But she is just phenomenal on The Last of Us. I think she's just one of the best parts of the second season. And she's a new character, actually. So that's very interesting. Maybe that's one of the reasons she worked out better. As for who will win, I think it'll be Catherine O'Hara or Merritt Wever on Severance. I thought she was great. She is Dylan G's wife, who kind of like gets stuck having an affair with his innie, even though she's married to his outie. So it's technically physically the same person, but is it really? And I just think that's great. Caitlin Dever for The Last of Us, no way. She was awful. I mean, I don't think she's going to win. I mean, I think that there would be such uproar if she won. I mean, I don't think she did. I mean, I thought her performance was comical. So I wouldn't give it to her. I mean, we'll see, maybe, but I'd be shocked if she won. I think it should be one of these two, Catherine O'Hara or Merritt Wever. And I think it's who it will be. All right, let's go over to comedy. All right. Okay, here are the comedy shows I have on I have my draft picks here to look at. All right, so get ready to see, as I said, a show sweep. Get ready to see one of the greatest Emmy sweeps of all time, as the studio should and will win, without a doubt. They don't even have to take the time to, I guess they have to announce this, but it's going to be the studio. 1,000%. I can see some of you think maybe it'll be Hacks. No, Hacks is done. It's not going to be The Bear either. The studio. The studio will take it for sure. It's going to take almost every category here. All right, let's go to the next category. That'll be lead actor. So this is interesting. I think there are some good nominations here. I think as to who should win and who will win, it will be Seth Rogen. This is his show. He is the producer. He is the creator. He is the writer. He is the director. He did the research. He went around. What a brilliant idea. He went around and talked to everybody in Hollywood who will be voting for these awards about what their experiences are. So he will win. 1,000% he will win. I do want to give a shout out, though, to Martin Short. I'm glad to see him getting respect for what he brings to this performance. I think he's really, really good on Only Murders in the Building. I think his performance is wonderful. It's my favorite performance, especially in the last few seasons. And then as for Jeremy Allen White, I bet he hopes that he stops getting nominated because it's not a comedy, this show. He shouldn't be in this category. And I'm just, I've had enough of I've had enough of The Bear. I've had enough of The Bear. Okay. Then, outstanding lead actress in a comedy series. You know who I'd like to see win? Uzo Aduba for The Residents, which just got canceled, sadly, but it's really wonderful that she was nominated here because she was so wonderful. Talk about like Noah Wyle being the center of the pit. Uzo Aduba is the center of The Residents. She held together 10 episodes, and she was a wonderful TV detective. I thought she was incredible. I really thought she was good, and I think that she should win. But I think it's unlikely that she will. I think it was canceled just because I think maybe it was too expensive. I'm not, there are probably a couple of reasons. I don't think it ever really caught people's interest like you would want it to. But but I'm really glad that she got nominated. That's funny, Marco. The Bear should go into hibernation. As for who will win, I think it'll be Jean Smart again, to be honest with you. I mean, what I recommended, Danny, I think I would recommend The Residents if you don't have anything to watch. It's not going to come back, but that doesn't mean it's still not a good show. It's a commitment. It's too many episodes. But yeah, I think Jean Smart will win again. This latest season was incredible. I thought she did a really amazing job, and they gave her really difficult things to do. So I think she's going to win again, to be honest with you. I think that maybe Quinta Brunson, but Jean Smart has a very strong track record in this category. All right, then next up, outstanding supporting actor in a comedy series. Now, as for who should win, I would actually go with Ike Barinholtz for The Studio. Right? Remember, everybody was thanking him. Thanks, Sal Saperstein, right? At that episode of the Golden Globes. It would be hilarious. Maybe they'll even repeat that gag at the actual show, at the ceremony. But Ike Barinholtz was very, very good on this show. I would love to see him get it. I love Bowen Yang. You know, I'm a big Bowen Yang fan. But I don't think that Bowen Yang did anything particular. I can't think of any sketches that he did this year, this season, that I would be rewarding him for previous years. I'm very glad he's nominated, though. As for who will win, I think Coleman Domingo will get it. He is the only acting nomination for the 4 seasons. He's very good. It's a very forward, there are 4 couples on the show. His is a gay couple. I think the things that they explore with their relationship are fascinating. I think it's also very current. I think it's very real. You know, it's not Hollywood's depiction of this sort of couple. But I think, and Coleman Domingo is LGBTQ himself. And he is married, and I'm sure he helped inform the way the character and his husband were portrayed. And I thought they were a really wonderful couple. Their couple was one of my favorite aspects. I didn't love the 4 seasons show, to be honest with you. It was a good binge. But I thought that Coleman Domingo should, he's really great. I think he should be getting a little bit more attention. I'd like to see him get more wins. So I think he'd be great. So yeah, I think he probably will win. Ike Barinholtz could win, but I think he has real competition from Coleman Domingo here. And a shout out to Harrison Ford with his very first Emmy nomination. Boy, they sure like the shrinking, don't they? I don't see a lot of wins in its future, though. All right, then outstanding supporting actress in a comedy series. Okay, so who will win here, or who should win? I think who should win would be. I think it's going to be somebody from the studio. I think it's going to either be Kathryn Hahn or maybe Catherine O'Hara. I think they're both very, very strong performances. Maybe Kathryn Hahn will get it because she was snubbed for Agatha. Maybe it'll be like when Matthew McConaughey won partially for True Detective when he won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. Maybe it'll create a perfect storm. I'd love to see Kathryn Hahn get it. But I think Catherine O'Hara, basically playing Amy Pascal, is very strong competition. I also want to say, though, that I think that Hannah Einbinder is a very, very, very strong competition because she's never won. And Hacks is really a two-hander. I think Jean Smart gets all the attention for Hacks, but that has a wonderful cast across the board. Janelle James, that would be great if she won. I know Cheryl Lee Ralph has won in the past. Let's see here. Then, next category, outstanding guest actor in a comedy series. Everyone but John Bernthal for The Bear is from the studio. That's 5 actors from the studio. Ron Howard, Bryan Cranston, Anthony Mackie. That's pretty amazing. Dave Franco, who I didn't even think was that funny on the studio. And then, of course, Martin Scorsese. I think Martin Scorsese should win. I think it's hilarious. I think it would be so funny if he won. I would love to see him go and accept it. I think it would I hope he shows up. But I agree with Oase that as for who will win, it'll be Martin Scorsese or Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston has such great physical comedy. He plays the owner of the studio, not even in Hollywood. Bryan Cranston is the owner of the studio. He's the businessman who paid for it. And he does such a good job. Some of the physical comedy that he does in the finale, the 2-part finale at CinemaCon, had me laughing. Like, I was laughing so hard. He did a wonderful job. So it'll be Bryan Cranston, I think, or Martin Scorsese between these two. Okay. Then, guest actress in a comedy series. This is a tough category as well. Now, I'll tell you who I think should win, but I don't think she's going to. Robbie Hoffman for Hacks. I was not familiar with Robbie Hoffman before I saw the new season of Hacks. Robbie Hoffman is an LGBTQ comedian. Apparently, she's one half of a power couple right now. I was not aware of this until, again, I saw Robbie Hoffman's performance here. Robbie Hoffman, as soon as she started in her performance, I was like, who is this? This person is incredible. So I think Robbie Hoffman should win. I think it was that kind of a performance. As for who will win, I think it'll either be Cynthia Erivo, although Poker Face has really no other nominations, but maybe the studio will keep on going with Zoe Kravitz, who was very, very funny. She was very funny, and she actually had a lot to do, and I've never seen her do comedy like that before, and I thought she was able to definitely keep up and hold her own opposite the other performers. So I think it'll be Cynthia Erivo, though, who plays multiple characters on Poker Face, or Zoe Kravitz. But I would love it to be Robbie Hoffman, but I don't know. It might be too new. But Robbie Hoffman was incredible. Okay. Britt, I do like Jamie Lee Curtis's performance, but she already won. Didn't she already win for The Bear? Right? I forget what season they're on with the Emmys. They're always, it's ridiculous. It's very frustrating. I think this is for 3. Yeah, she did win. She already won. She doesn't need it again. I'm not going to give it to her again. Okay, now that was the comedy one. All right, now we have one final section, and that's anthology. You know, like it's not going to keep going, or it's not like it's not sequential, and a movie. Well, these are performances. So the first one though is just anthology series. Okay. No, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oops, sorry, I didn't reboot. Look away, look away. Okay, there it is. Okay, outstanding limited or anthology series. So, as for who should win, I don't know, I gotta tell you, I think Adolescence should and will win. I think The Penguin is a real competitor, but Adolescence was just a sensation. It's one of the most watched Netflix shows of all time. It started a cultural conversation. It's very important that I think we need to have. It was a really clever, creative decision to do long takes. I think that it's going to be Adolescence, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was The Penguin. I also want to point out that this, the Michelle Williams show, this one, I don't know if I can say it on a live stream. That one, I started to watch this. It's one of the saddest things I've ever seen. I couldn't finish it, in fact. It was too sad. But it's based on a true story, and a lot of that is really taken from it. And I thought it was such an incredible story, and I think there are so many important things to learn from it. Like, for instance, make sure you see your doctor and don't just take one doctor's advice, get a second opinion. To see a woman going through that so young was just incredible. And the fact that it was real, that it really happened, I'm glad it's getting attention. And then, of course, I love the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. I think that's really phenomenal. But Adolescence will take this. Should and will. Okay, then next, Best Actor. It's going to be Colin Farrell. He's won all the other awards before this. He's going to get it. For sure, Colin Farrell is going to get it. And deserved. He did an incredible job. You would never even know it was him under there. He was great. As for who should win it, I think he was really good. I would not be upset if he won it. Although I want to give a shout out, though, to Stephen Graham, Stephen Graham in Adolescence has been working for a very long time, and he's always just been an actor. With Adolescence, he became a co-writer and a producer, and he created a space for himself and really leveled up his career. And I love to see actors taking that kind of ownership and agency. And then Cooper Koch. If Cooper Koch hadn't gotten this nomination, he'd be the new Patrick Schwarzenegger. They'd be in the same boat. This nomination saved Cooper Koch's career. And I think it's going to I think he just landed some acting gig too in a movie. I'm very, very happy for Cooper Koch. I think he will continue because of this. If he hadn't gotten this, I think he would have been in real trouble. So the nomination is enough. He doesn't need to win it. He's going to be at the Emmys. He's going to be on the red carpet. He got to do all the round tables. It's a very, very big deal. So I'm very happy for him. If Cooper Koch hadn't gotten this, again, as I said, his career would be not going well. Okay, then lead actress. This is tough. This one's really hard. I think as for who should win, I would give it to Megan Fahey for Sirens. I'm just so thrilled she's nominated. She got a lot of attention for the White Lotus, which was great. And she was phenomenal here as well. I thought Sirens was surprisingly good. So I'm very happy that she got this. She's who I think should win. I don't think she will win, though. I think there are two choices here. I'm sorry, Penguin fans, it's not Kristen Milioti. It's going to either be Rashida Jones or Michelle Williams for two of the saddest performances I've ever seen. I did watch this one all the way through. It was heartbreaking. It was devastating. And Rashida Jones did a wonderful job with it. And Michelle Williams, though, I couldn't finish. It was so sad, but it had a huge impact on me. It was really, really good. And Michelle Williams is a great actress. So I'm sorry to say that I think it'll be Michelle Williams or Rashida Jones. Michelle Williams already has an Emmy, which is why it might be Rashida. But I think it'll be one of those two. And, I think Michelle Williams is so good she might get another. Sometimes people get them again. Zendaya got back-to-back Emmys, Oasis, you can watch this Michelle Williams show, but just be aware that it's extremely sad. Okay. Outstanding supporting actor in a limited series, anthology, or movie. So everything's in here. Everybody's in here. But it's all from series, not from any movies. Okay, so this is obvious. Owen Cooper should and will win. He plays, of course, the young boy in Adolescence. He has an incredible performance, very similar to Cooper Koch. They both have these long takes, or Cooper Koch's whole episode, I think, is a long take. But they're both these people who've committed horrible crimes, just locking us into what's going on with their characters. In both cases, talking to a female psychiatrist or lawyer, which I think, on one-on-one. The scenes are very similar. And I think, but Owen Cooper will win. I think he'll win. He should and will win. I'm very happy for everybody else here. Rob Delaney that's Peter from Deadpool. He got nominated. That's incredible. I thought he was okay here. I like Rob Delaney a lot. I'm surprised, to be honest with you, he got nominated, because I don't think he did a lot of great acting. Okay. Javier Bardem, of course, always a treat. And I love Bill Camp. I'm a big Bill Camp fan. All right, then supporting actress. Now, this is very interesting to me. I got to tell you, I think who will win will be Erin Doherty for Adolescence, because she is the psychiatrist on the other side of that Owen Cooper scene. So I think that she should get it, because she, it takes two to tango. I think that she will get it. I think there's a very strong chance. But I agree with Luke. I kind of would like to see Jenny Slate get it, because she does a wonderful job playing the best friend of Michelle Williams' character who's dying. And the emotions that she's going through while trying not to make it about herself are also devastating. They are really an amazing duo on that show. This woman and her best friend. This woman, Michelle Williams' character, really ends up having no family, no loved ones. Even her relationship with her husband falls apart. And so the only person she really has is actually her best friend and her end-of-life counselor, who actually also did a wonderful job, now that I think about it. And they kind of become a trio. But I think Erin Doherty will win, for sure. All right, so that's my thoughts on who's should and will win at the Emmys here. Let me get up the main picture. There we go, and we'll do the Q&A. It is 4:42. Wow, that took me an hour. Thanks for sticking with me. I had a good time going through it with you. And let's do 5 minutes Q&A. And you got to ask only Emmys questions. We'll have a regular live stream tomorrow, but this is an Emmy-themed stream, so I apologize, but we got to keep the questions to the Emmys. So we'll do it till we get to an actual hour, which is 5 minutes. I'm glad you had a good time, Mr. Magic. Braden, I didn't do animated series because I only did what they made graphics for. So let me check. Common Side Effects, Love, Death, and Robots, Arcane Season 2, The Simpsons, and Bob's Burgers. Oh, wow. I didn't love Arcane Season 2, but I guess out of that group I would go with them. MM92 says, hey Grace, which category do you think could pull off the biggest surprise win? Penguin! If Penguin really starts getting a lot of wins, that could be really interesting. Mr. Magic, as I said at the beginning of the stream, I do think Agatha was snubbed. I don't think it needed to win, but I think it deserved as much recognition as Andor did. Braden, I've never watched Common Side Effects. In fact, I never heard of it before today. Franco, House of the Dragon Season 2 was not eligible. It's things that aired during the last TV season. Just Blaze Disney says, how come Loki got Emmy nominations but not Agatha? Well, again, the studio has to campaign for it. And, Tom Hiddleston campaigned very hard for Loki. I didn't see any campaigning for Agatha, unfortunately. It really depends if the studio is going to back you or if the actors just believes in it that much that they're going to push it themselves. But if you don't have the support of your studio or distributor, it's almost impossible to do it yourself. That's why, what's that actress's name who took pictures of herself and put Melissa Leo. That's why that was so incredible that she decided to do it herself. Sophia says, do you think Lanterns could get nominated for the Emmys next year? Very possible. That's a great question, Sophia, particularly because of the talent behind the camera. Chris Mundy is from Ozark, which got a lot of nominations. People took that show very seriously, and Damon Lindelof. So I think that, let's see what they do. Jesus says, do you think Martin Short will ever win for Only Murders in the Building? Probably not, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think there's just too much good stuff out there, and I think Only Murders in the Building is too light of a show. It's like this close to being a sitcom. Sometimes sitcoms win. Look at Abbott Elementary. Look at Big Bang Theory. But I think that its own success is its own reward, I think. Away says, maybe on their last season. I don't know. Tell that to poor Bob Odenkirk. Juan, I didn't know that Gwendolyn Christie submitted herself for you mean for a nomination for Game of Thrones or for the role? Chico says, what are your thoughts on Nicolas Chavez from Monsters being snubbed? I think that's fine. That was Cooper Koch's show. He was fantastic, Nicholas. He was incredible, but I don't think his acting really impressed me to the point where I would nominate him over. There was space for one of them, and if I had to pick one, it would 100% be Cooper Koch. I'm glad that Gaga's getting closer to an EGOT. Ian says James Gunn is a guest on the next season of The Studio. I don't know if you could, I don't think that they would have fun with that. I think the point of the studio cameos is getting people who don't usually do stuff like that. And James Gunn is living in his own show of The Studio. He does his own studio type appearances constantly. So I think it would feel too much like self-promotion. I think that you're looking for people who look like they're going to come in there and have fun. Sophia, you could say maybe if he did it with Zack Snyder, that would be funny. But they just did that on Rick and Morty. By the way, Kevin Feige, I don't think will ever come up. Well, no, they weren't making fun of them. The HBO show was really making fun of Kevin Feige. The Crew or whatever, that was like, wow. That's right, Ben 10. The franchise. Thank you, the franchise. That's right, Ben 10. Kevin Feige was AI in She-Hulk. But they just had to put a hat on a robot and say it was him. Juan, you really think that's true? The HBO show is the reason that Zemo wasn't on Thunderbolt? Oh, because he was in it. That might be true. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that was true. I've never heard that before. Danny says, hi, Grace. With Penguin's noms, do they support keeping it Elseworlds? I think that it's ridiculous to have the separate Batman universe. And I think that they're going to merge them. I mean, James Gunn is like, apparently, they say he wants to fast track a Wonder Woman, but I don't hear anything about fast tracking. Well, that's nothing to do with the Emmys. Nice way to get the Penguin, though, to kind of make it work. Oh, we're at 6 minutes. Okay, I must go. I had a wonderful time with you as always. It's so good to be back. We are going to have live streams. I'm planning to have them tomorrow and Friday we'll jump right back into 3. Thank you for your patience with me. The 4th of July and then my trip and Superman all in one created like this perfect storm. But I was so grateful that I was able to still be able to get videos up and be part of your Superman discussions. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow.